at 10. A Memphis police officer dead in a supposed suicide. Her family says it's murder. The local I-Team exposes the evidence that's raising their suspicions.
You know, it's been 2 years since Sonia Henderson died from a point-blank gunshot to the chest.
And the 37-year-old was a veteran Memphis police officer. The district attorney's office says her death was a suicide. Henderson's family members are convinced she was murdered.
They are suing an MPD sergeant that they claim is responsible for Henderson's death. Local I-Team investigator Maria Hollis joins us live in the studio now. And Maria, what's going on with all of this?
Good evening, Brandon and Katina. The family filed a $10 million wrongful death lawsuit against a Memphis police sergeant. I spoke with that sergeant. She says she had nothing to do with Sonia Henderson's death. Family members claim Memphis police and the district attorney's office refused to aggressively pursue the case. That refusal, the family says, prevents justice for their daughter and intensifies their grief. Kenneth Polk still gets emotional when he talks about the day he discovered his stepdaughter, Memphis police officer Sonia Henderson, shot dead in her Cordova home.
And so when he told me she was dead, I didn't know who to call. I couldn't believe it.
Henderson grew up in Memphis and was a 15-year veteran of the Memphis police force. Twyla Russell is Henderson's sister.
Always loved to help people, motivated to be everything, and wanted to see everybody do good in life.
The autopsy report says Henderson died of a single gunshot wound to the chest and that police are not suspicious of foul play. The medical examiner ruled the death a suicide. But Henderson's family, including her mother, remain convinced Henderson did not kill herself.
She had called me on the 10th, my birthday, right before it happened. And she said, "Mama, what you want for your birthday?" I said, "Well, just anything." She said, "Well, I'll call you back."
Relatives say Henderson had career and travel plans in Las Vegas. She was about to board a plane the week she died to look for a home with her sister in Vegas. The officer had already plunked down more than $20,000 for a business program, according to her sister, with the eventual goal of opening up hospitals in third world countries. In a lawsuit, the family alleges Sergeant Alpha Gail Hines and Hines' sister plotted to lure Henderson away from her home and shot her in the chest, causing her death. Hines is a Memphis police officer who worked crime scene investigation. Family members say Sergeant Hines was a family friend, claimed she had keys to Henderson's home and was seen by neighbors there frequently. Documents show Hines was listed as the beneficiary on Henderson's life insurance policy.
$150,000 policy payable to Alpha Gail Hines, listed as a friend.
Family members say Hines showed no emotion after Henderson's death and seemed more intent on collecting the money she thought Henderson had left her. But what really solidified the family's suspicions was a handwritten note they claim was written 3 months before Henderson's death, listing life benefits, the funeral home, and the same poem Hines submitted for the funeral program. Despite their concerns, the family claims MPD was determined from the start to only consider the officer's death a suicide.
The officers stated going into it that they were investigating it as a suicide. They would investigate it as nothing other than a suicide. And they would definitely not investigate any police officers.
Claiborne Ferguson is a Memphis criminal defense attorney who's not involved in this case but agreed to weigh in on the investigation.
Their training should indicate to them that they can't make that decision until after all the evidence is gathered, all the witnesses, possible witnesses, are investigated, all the questions are asked, and they've received the answers to those questions.
About 1 year after Henderson's death, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation took over the case. TBI completed its report, but it is sealed, and the DA's office says it will not prosecute anyone in Henderson's death. The family says no MPD or TBI investigator sat down and interviewed them about their concerns.
I think the family should have been interviewed. The first people you talk to are friends and family. That's who you ask when you're dealing with somebody to determine whether or not they were suicidal.
I've been fighting hard for justice for her because I know she did not take her own life.
Henderson's sister says she will not give up. Now again, I spoke with Sergeant Hines, who's accused in this lawsuit. She said she had nothing to do with Henderson's death. I also asked the assistant district attorney about the factual allegations we mentioned in this story that the family finds suspicious. The assistant DA did not dispute those allegations, but said they were not enough to prosecute. Tomorrow night, we'll hear from the DA about the facts he says show Henderson took her own life. For the Local I team, I'm Maria Hallis.